What's up, everybody? I'm Camarray.
And I'm Zaiah.
And this is the Music Report Card,
Face Off Edition.
All right, so today we've got a special Face Off Edition. Everybody's been talking about it. The streets are buzzing. We've been fighting this since the 1990s, early 90s. Macomb, Mississippi's own versus Newnan, Georgia's own Brandy versus Monica. Ooh, I'm excited.
I know you
As
are.
a resident Brandy fan, I'm ready to go. Like I'm ready to jump right into it.
So we typically judge based on the vocals, lyrics,
The production and the sonic vibe.
however, we do the Face Off Edition just a little different. So we're going to start actually with the influences or memories. So what is your favorite Monica memory?
I would say you know what? I have a great one. I think my favorite Monica moment with Brandy and Monica, of course, I love both of them because of their connection and their tie to Whitney. When I was growing up, like from the age of probably 2 to 5, Whitney was like everything to me, and I remember having like her jet. She was posted on my wall, her jet cover, and when I start hearing Brandy and Monica, I was just like, dang, they sound very reminiscent of Whitney. And so my favorite Monica moment is actually, a lot of people may not know, but there was the Preacher's Wife soundtrack, and Monica was on a song with Whitney, and she gave some of those inflections that Whitney gave, and so I thought that was really cool for Monica. How about you? What you say?
My favorite Monica moment is probably, I don't know, every time I think about the Angel of Mine video, every time I think about Monica, I think about the Angel of Mine video.
But that was with Tyrese in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think about that video, and that's probably my favorite moment. That's one of my favorite songs from the 90s.
Really? Yeah, I mean, it was a classically written song. I feel like, but we'll get into that later. What about your favorite Brandy moment?
My favorite Brandy moment would have to be when Whitney was questioning him why she was down there with the vocals, singing in the basement, and she needed her to bring it up a little bit on the Impossible.
You know what? There's actually a clip of Brandy addressing that recently, and that's not what you thought it was.
So what's your favorite Brandy moment?
I have so many favorite Brandy moments. My favorite was probably just meeting her in North Carolina. But outside of that, the moments that everybody would probably know and have seen, I would say would be, gosh, there's so many. I'm going to take it all the way back. I would say when she sung R-E-S-P-E-C-T on Thea. Like, that was my first time, like, hearing that Whitney is my, I don't know why I used to watch Thea, but as a young lad, I was watching Thea. She came down the steps like, boom, what you want? And she got all the Whitney riffs, and I was just like, damn, who is this? And, you know, I was in love. What's up?
Oh, yeah.
I love Monica's music, kind of, sort of. The only issue I ever had with Monica is I felt like after a certain point, after The Storm, her album started to sound the same. And I think she used the same, like Brian Michael Cox, Jermaine Dupri, Missy Elliott, the same producers, and they kind of didn't push her to really grow. And so that's my biggest issue I've ever had with Monica. She's got some incredible singles, some incredible albums, but I just feel like they keep her in the same lane. And I feel like Brandy, on the other hand, has evolved since the beginning. I mean, she came out sounding like Baby Whitney, then she evolved into, I think the Never Say Never album was kind of like her trying time as far as figuring out her voice and what she really wanted to do. She was like a little nervous. She got stage fright at that point. And so she wasn't really at her best and her most confident vocally. But then you move into the Full Moon era where it's like, who is this? Like, we know she had started studying Kimberell, so we start hearing some of those moments. And going into Aphrodisiac, which gives this different effect where she worked with Timbaland and start doing like a little bit more raspy. You start hearing that part of her voice. That's funny. And then you go into Human, where you have this kind of loud, boisterous kind of voice where she really found herself and really grew into her own. And then you go into 211 where it gets a little more sexy. And then now where it's B7, you hear another side where she's testing out her whistle range and but belting out a few more things. And I mean, just album-wise, she takes the cake for me because she's definitely evolved over the last 20 years.
So, I mean, I love Brandy and I love her albums also. I don't really know that I honestly like a lot of Monica's albums. I think that I like more, so I'm more of a person, honestly, who doesn't really listen to a lot of full albums until probably the music report card. I started listening a lot more, obviously, because we have to review the content. So, for me, I feel like
not well versed in Monica's albums. All right, so with
no,
that
it's not that I'm not well versed in Monica's albums, like because I like certain albums of Monica.
Like which ones? Name
one. What's the one? The boy, if you ever left my side. What album's that? Code Red.
Definitely not Code Red.
I would say that Monica definitely has still evolved, and as has her team, but I don't think they evolved enough to take her to the next level. But I also could say the same for Brandy. I don't think Brandy, yes, you can say that Brandy has a different sound with all these different albums, but where have these sounds taken her? Because neither one of them have really gone where I feel like they need to go, or where they deserve to go.
I agree with you.
And I feel like, so ultimately we can talk all day about, oh, Monica's team didn't really take her anywhere. Okay, Brandy's team really technically didn't take her anywhere.
But we're not
hold on, let me
the,
finish what I'm saying. They didn't take her anywhere as far as, I'm talking about that because I'm saying when it's all said and done, we can talk about how, oh, the music evolved. Oh, they grew. Yeah, but both of their albums I still feel like grew musically. I just feel like ultimately neither one of them really went anywhere with any of the content once they actually grew up.
Coming from the man that doesn't know the Monica albums. All right, so with that being
either way, whether I know all of the albums or not, it wouldn't really matter because either way, they didn't go anywhere. Like, if I feel like I would know more about the content if they actually went somewhere. They're not doing anything.
Okay, but that doesn't negate the fact that the music that's on the albums
it's still loved, but it's loved by the
it's
people who.
On Monica's part.
I wouldn't say that
because you don't know. You've never listened to them.
I have. I've listened to enough of them to know.
Okay,
yeah, I can't tell you the names of each of the albums and all these different things. However, what I can say is, if you listen even to singles across the board, let's start talking about singles a little bit. If you listen to singles, shut up and let me talk. If you listen to singles, the same thing. I mean, the singles still definitely evolved for both of them, but I don't think neither one of them really have singles that are just like boom that exploded their career anywhere. So really, who are they really singing to? They're just singing to the people that already know them.
That doesn't make sense.
They're not getting the numbers. What I'm saying is, when it's all said and done, if we're going to talk about singles and albums and how, oh, Monica's album didn't really do, her albums all sound the same and this and this and that, it really wouldn't, which I don't agree with, but it really wouldn't matter if they did all sound the same on either one of their parts because it's not taking them anywhere in their career. Like they're not evolved. Like their fan base, it seems like, is less than what it was before. They're not hitting the numbers that they were hitting before.
Yeah, I don't think that's
so. Let me ask you this question then. Why aren't Monica and Brandy where they need to be? Why aren't they on the level of a Beyonce, on the level of a Taylor Swift, on the level of these bigger artists? Why aren't the singles or the albums doing what they need to do to put them at the next level if there's these great singers that people say that they are? Or these great artists, Brandy's in particular, that everybody says that she is. Why isn't it showing? Why doesn't the world know who she is?
that a real question?
That's a real question.
Yeah. Clearly, people haven't been doing their research. Okay, so let's address all of those from those last couple points. People clearly know who Brandy Verzuz Norwood is, whether it's for music or for acting. She's been on recently Star, The Game. She had the Tyler Perry movie. People know who Brandy is.
Yeah.
As far as why Brandy or Monica is not where they are, I mean, clearly the artists of the 90s have had their mainstream time to shine, and right now there are no R&B artists that are doing exceptionally well. And I may, if I may, point out number-wise, when Beyonce's Black is King Deluxe Edition came out, she sold literally maybe 1,000 more albums than Brandy's V7, which shows that the numbers as far as who's listening are almost the same. So with that being said, we can talk about all these mainstream singles. Clearly Beyonce has a mainstream budget behind her to push these singles, and that's why Brandy is not doing the same numbers as what a Beyonce or a Taylor Swift or someone is doing of today. But let's not negate that Brandy is actually one of the highest selling female artists of our time, and we cannot say the same unfortunately for Monica. She's also one of the highest awarded R&B women in R&B. So, I mean, people know who she is.
Right, I get that they know who she is, but I'm saying either way, okay, we can talk about, okay, yeah, Beyonce's album, honestly, I think is not, it's way too focused on a culture for a lot of people to honestly get it and grasp it, and I feel like her music has kind of went in that direction anyway, but nonetheless, she still, regardless of how much she sold or didn't sell, she still secured a major bag. Regardless of the numbers, she secured a major bag, even signing up to do whatever she signed up to do with Disney, period. So when you talk about those two things, yeah, they both came out with albums, and yeah, maybe the numbers of the albums were very close to each other, but the bag was secured before the album was even released, so it didn't matter.
I would say my favorite Brandy single is Almost Doesn't Count. I'm gonna go with the popular opinion on that one. I think the way she wrote the track, I think the riffs and the runs, the simplicity of it, the message in it, like, ooh.
I love Almost Doesn't Count, but I think for me it's definitely Have You Ever.
Really?
Yeah, I love when that song just comes in and how it just like fades in and it just grabs you. And everybody I think can relate to that. You know, I'm always talking about relatability. Everybody can relate to like, have you ever been in love? Have you ever, like, all these different things she's saying, all these different have you evers. There's one in there that you have ever before.
I was gonna say full moon.
No.
That's your favorite one. What about Monica? I would say my favorite Monica song, well, single. My favorite Monica single would be, I'm gonna go with the one I already said, which was Until It's Gone. I love that song and the piano in it. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Until It's Gone.
Mine's For You I Will. Like, I love Angel of Mine, but For You I Will is, I will lay my life on the line. I'll do all this for you.
I'm gonna change my mind. I'm gonna go with Baby That's Why I Love You So Much.
Yeah,
I love that. I remember when I first heard it, that was like the song that probably got me to buy the album, like, for real. Because it was just, I felt that young girlness in her, but that grown woman voice that kind of came through on it. You turn me and you hold me. You run me in your arms, baby. I love all that. That's how she did it. Y'all know the song. Don't act up.
Monica's tone, back in the day, Monica's tone used to be on point.
It did.
It used to be on point. Like, Monica, to me, I'm no shade. Monica gave me not the runs of Whitney, because she would fall off, but she definitely gave me more of the tone and the feeling of Whitney. If I heard Monica singing a Whitney song, I would think more like, oh, okay, that's close to Whitney than I would if Brandy was singing a Monica song. I mean, Brandy was singing a Whitney song. Because I think Brandy's timbre is what it is for me. And I think a lot of people, growing up, a lot of people would, and I was one of those people who honestly was on the side of Monica, saying like, Monica's the better singer and blah, 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 because I didn't know anything about music. I wasn't going to church and hearing music on a regular basis. So I was drawn to that sound, that mature sound, and Monica kind of had that maturity in her tone and her timbre, that Brandy kind of had this little kiddish, whiny kind of voice that a lot of people said she couldn't sing. And then once I got older and started understanding music and was hearing some of the things she was doing, I had to argue with people and say, no, Brandy can sing. She absolutely can sing. And I got in big arguments with people about her being able to sing. But these are dumb consumers that don't know anything. They just know what they hear, and if it sounds mature and it's that giving you what you need, then that's good. But I think all the running and different stuff she did, I think it was honestly just her tone was good, but her timbre was just very like kind of kiddish, and a lot of people just didn't rock with it.
So let's use this as an educational moment. Can you give our music report card viewers a little bit of a dumbed down version or a simplified version of what timbre is? Timbre, the definition of it, and maybe like an example.
I feel like they should have got it from what I just said.
What did it tell me?
Have you ever been in love so bad? Have you ever listened to a Luther Vandross song and you went up there thinking, oh, I'm getting ready to sing this song and I'm about to kill this because he sings low, he's in my range and blah blah, and then you get up there and you're like, dang, he's actually singing very high, but the sound of his voice just sounds like it's a little lower. That's gonna give you that's the timbre. So another example is Jasmine Sullivan. A lot of people get up there thinking, oh, Jasmine Sullivan, she sings a little lower, but Jasmine Sullivan, now she does have some pretty decent range in her chest voice. But Jasmine Sullivan will go up, you'll think you get ready to go up there and scream a Jasmine Sullivan song because she sounds like she's singing lower because her timbre has this rich, low kind of sound to it. And you'll go up there thinking, oh, I'm getting ready to blow this song out the water, and you're like, ooh, it's too high. This is way too high. So that's kind of an example of what timbre is. You can have two vocalists that sing in the same range, or have the same range overall, but maybe one of their voices comes across like as if it's a little lower because they have like that darker sound to it, but they're still hitting the same notes.
All right, well, hopefully you guys got some of that. We'll try to insert some of those little tips like that every once in a while so we can all get better.
I hope that's a good explanation. It's kind of hard to like. Let me open up the book.
If not, drop down in the comments and let us know what you think. And if you have a better definition, then
drop down there and give us the definition.
Definition. We did that. All right, so let's go ahead and put some of their singles head to head. I think chart-wise, I think it's notable to say that Monica does have one additional #1 single over Brandy's.
What are the ones that Brandy has?
Brandy has The Boy's Mind and Have You Ever.
Okay.
That hit #1 on Hot 100, on the Billboard Hot 100.
My favorite.
And Monica has The First Night, The Boy's Mind, and
Angel of Mine.
Yes. Outside of those singles, let's start with their first singles. Can we just travel a little bit with I Want to Be Down versus Don't Take It Personal?
Okay.
What do you think? Which one would you take?
Which would I take? I just want to. And then we got, what's the other one? I don't know. I really honestly think I could rock both of, like bounce to both of them songs. Like if I was listening to a playlist, I would probably get up to both of them or turn up to both of them. So it's really hard because I feel like this goes back to what I said earlier. They're kind of equivalent when you go back to their careers like back then, they're kind of equivalent for me.
Let's talk about their first singles from their second albums, which for outside of The Boy's Mind, Brandy's would have been Sitting on Top of the World versus Monica's The First Night.
I probably honestly would rock with Sitting on Top of the World a little bit more. I like the feel of that, but then I also, the feeling of The First Night, I don't know. It's like, it's hard to compare because when I really reflect back on where I was, like I was young, but at the same time I was listening to this music all the time on the radio and it was a constant. So for me, I never looked at this competition thing until The Boy Is Mine really came out.
Really?
I never really looked at a competition between the two of them because I was just listening to music as a kid. I didn't care about any of that. That didn't matter to me. I just wanted to listen to great music. So again, it's I feel like I would get up and jump into sitting on top of the world, but I also understand some of these young girls who are like, I wanna do this. I should make a move, but I really won't because I'm gonna be this wholesome young girl that I'm supposed to be, and you know what I'm saying. So I get the messages and I get what's happening. So
all right, well let's move to the next album. What About Us versus So Gone.
What about us? What about us?
And I'm gonna say I love So Gone. I really do, but I just felt like this is where the turn. I think the equivalence of Brandy and Monica started to take a major shift around this period of time. And I think that, I mean, of course, Brandy had amazing production behind her, but the creativity and that knot of What About Us versus So Gone, and I love So Gone, but What About Us was something so left field.
Yeah, I get that, but I also feel like So Gone was just it was catering to a different type of woman.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it was catering to a whole different type of woman. And I think they both were getting kind of similar points across, but just in different ways and catering to different people.
Yeah.
So that's where it's really hard for me to really judge and talk about, like when we go back and talk about them, it's really hard for me to really have judgment and say one over the other because I was listening for great music. And when So Gone came on, it still was, people were still rocking to it and bouncing to it and doing whatever. It was just and that was for the people who were trying to sing but couldn't sing, because again, it was music that people could actually sing along to.
And you know what's so funny is everything that
what
you're
would you
saying.
put up against them? But go ahead. I'm sorry.
I would say the everything that you're saying, I hear a Brandy song in my head, like when you were just saying, "Let's talk about," or something. Let's talk about something. So you said something about talk about. I was like, "The more they talk about our love," and I just keep hearing Brandy in my head. I think equally they have some great singles. I mean, again, that's where Monica really shines. I think even up to her latest single, Commitment, I think is an amazing song. It's just the albums I just can't get into because they sound so similar to what she's done previously.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about overall impact. I know Camarray is big on Brandy's overall impact,
Yes.
So we're going to go ahead and pass this on to him so he can start.
I'm not going to make it longer than I think Brandy's, without question, she's been, her impact has been impeccable over today's generation. From Ariana Grande and Jessie J on more the pop side to the Isaac Careys and the Cardi Cortezes and Daryl Walls and Aja, the whole Walls group, in my opinion, sounds like baby Brandy's. But all around, multi-genre, they've all referenced her, and you hear it in their backgrounds, you hear it in some of the isms that they do. India Reed even has mentioned how much she's impacted her. And honestly, I feel like it's kind of hard to put her against Monica as far as sound impact, because it's kind of like Mariah Carey, whereas in Mariah and Whitney, where Mariah is this incredible vocalist, but you didn't have a lot of people trying to be her.
And couldn't really do what she could do because she was kind
of
off the...
Because, I mean, if you really think about it, really the
she
only
was off the scale, literally.
Yeah. I think only Tamar and maybe... what's her name? Ariana Grande really kind of have tried to mimic her since Mariah. And so I haven't heard a lot of people quoting Monica as like their favorite artist or whatever, but I think it's notable to give Monica her roses with a dozen roses. That's Monica's song. I think that's, we have to give Monica her roses for what she did accomplish, or what she has accomplished over her long career.
Yeah, I think when I think of overall impact, I don't just think about the impact that the artists have had on other artists. I also think about the impact that these people, their music has had on people. Period. So I think it's kind of overall impact. We like to talk about it, obviously, but it's kind of hard to measure what the overall impact is going to be, because some of these people are being... It's hard to really measure the overall impact because we don't know how many people really were impacted by Brandy or Monica. We do know that a lot of people are she has influenced a lot of people vocally as far as Brandy is concerned.
Mhm.
But I think when it's all said and done, a lot of that still trickles down for me. It trickles down from both of them, Whitney being who Whitney was, and both of them kind of branching off of that, and then other people branching off of that. So a lot of time, I mean, I don't think that anyone's going to run and say, "Oh, Monica." They may not say that Monica influenced them as much as they say Brandy did vocally, because of what Brandy gives vocally. But I think song choices and music, I think that Monica probably has impacted a lot of people as well. They just ain't out here trying to sound like her. Because where we are today, she's her voice is just not where it was years ago.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But again, congratulations to both Monica and Brandy for your illustrious 20-plus careers, 20-year plus careers. I think you guys both deserve, a lot more credit than you both are getting. With that being said, let's make sure you guys drop down in the comments. Tell us some of your favorite Brandy songs, some of your favorite Monica songs, your favorite Brandy moments, favorite Monica moments. If you've watched the Verzuz, you can also come and let's converse. Let's talk about Brandy versus Monica or this face-off.
And share the video with your friends. Make sure you subscribe, like the video.
Yes, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on this here video. We'll see you guys next time. My name is Camarray.
And I'm Zaiah.
Talk to y'all later.
Peace out.